All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to my Dreamcast for Survivor Legends. Now, recently, Russell Hantz on his channel, and I will leave a link in the description on his to his channel below, said recently that he doesn't think that a Legend season will happen in the near future because so many of the great players have already competed in Winners at War, and that they wouldn't be able to get a decent enough roster with the current staffing of players. But I made the argument on that video that there are so many great players that can be considered legends that have not won. You don't have to win a season of Survivor to be considered a legend. So with that, I've done some research and I've put together who I feel CBS would do the perfect casting for Survivor Legends. Now keep this in mind, now just because this is the roster that I came up with doesn't mean that it would be the roster that CBS would settle with. I just went with people who I know for a fact want to play again, and that CBS would definitely consider bringing back for another season. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in and get started with this. And first we have Survivor Borneo. And, let's be honest, there's really only one name that comes to mind with Survivor Borneo, and that is the very first person to win Survivor, Richard Hatch. But unfortunately, as of late, he has been making a lot of vlog videos talking about, his how Survivor's racist and homophobic. He's accusing Jeff Probst of bigotry, and he's not taking responsibility for his own actions from Survivor All Stars. And basically that's what it just comes down to. Richard Hatch is never playing again with this current production staff, and it's a shame because under the opposite circumstances of him not doing that kind of thing, definitely Hatch is on this cast. Alright, so moving on to Survivor Australia. A few names to consider here. One of them being Colby Donaldson. But given his last performance in Survivor Heroes vs. Villains, I feel that he wouldn't be able to keep up these days. And there are so many other great players that I've put on this roster that I feel would just overshadow Colby, and just would make it so that Colby comes back in. He's the obvious easy first out because at this point he'd probably be seen as a liability to other people's games. So I did not include him in this cast. I did, however, decide to go ahead and throw Jerry into this cast because, she has developed a very strong social game as of late. She back in Heroes vs. Villains, she played a dominating social game, and it made for a good redemption story for her. And I feel that for her to come back in for another season would be very beneficial, and I think she could go far. Given how well she played in Heroes vs. Villains, I think she goes far, maybe even to top 3, and could potentially win it all. I also decided to add Tina Wesson to this cast because she wanted to play Winners at War. And I think initially she got the call to play again, but then CBS didn't need her anymore after that, after a while. And if you've been around my channel for a little bit, you'll know that I did a whole rant about Sandra and how she just kind of gave up on a prime opportunity when she quit Winners at War the way she did. And Tina, I felt she would not have taken that opportunity that for granted so much that Sandra did. Sandra was wasted on that season, and she did not appreciate that one bit. So Tina should have been there. She wanted to be there. So, and a good staple for Tina for a Legend season is that she's known for being the first woman to win. And that was like season 2. Keep in mind that there have only been 14 female winners out of 40 seasons. That is the equivalent of like a woman winning every third season of Survivor. So for Tina to do it as early as season 2, bravo. Give her another chance. She needs to play again. Moving on, we got Survivor Africa. Again, a few names to consider here. We got Ethan Zahn, Lex Vanderberg, and Tom Buchanan. Now, Ethan just got off of Winners at War, and his health it was just bad. I mean, he couldn't even keep up on Edge of Extinction, and it saddens me to say that because I love Ethan. I was happy to see him play again. I knew that because of his health, he might not have lasted long in the game. I'm glad he toughed it out for as long as he did, but I just don't see him playing again. Same with Tom Buchanan. Tom was like in his 50s when he first played. And that was like almost 20 years ago, so now he's like in his 70s. So I don't think he'd want to play again. And then you got Lex Vanderberg, and he played a great game. Let's be fair. He played a great physical game. His social game was really kind of lacking in that he kept playing too much with his heart, and it showed the most in All Stars when he took to bitterness after being betrayed by Rob the way he betrayed some of his friends in the game. So yeah, he's a bitter hypocrite, and I just don't want to see him play again. And let's see. Next off, we got Survivor Marquesas. And really, there was only 2 names that I could consider for this casting, and that's Boston Rob Mariano and Kathy Vavrick O'Brien. Obvious reasons, Rob's not playing it anymore. He wasn't even gonna go. He wasn't even gonna go out for Winners at War, but he didn't want to. He also didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to play with his wife one last time. So there's that. But yeah, he's older and not as much shape. He doesn't need the money anymore. He's got a wonderful life. So I don't think I would be seeing him playing again. And same with Kathy. I love Kathy, but she's probably a lot like Big Tom, and at an age where it'd be just physically very difficult on her to play again. So, and I know that there's other names from this season that everyone likes and all that, but I wouldn't really consider them as legends per se. But some of them do need another chance. I would love to see Sean play again. I'd love to see Vesepia play again. But I'll have to be for another season. All right, next up we got Survivor Thailand. Next up we got Survivor Amazon. Now, okay, so there were a couple names from here that I considered. Rob Sestorino and Jenna Maraska, and originally I had put Rob Sestorino on this cast, given how well he played in Amazon. But after his, he's doing pretty good for himself right now. He's got a good podcast going on for him. A lot of support for that. And plus, after his performance in All Stars, I just don't see him, coming back again. And it's a shame too, because he is a master strategist. But I can't see him coming back. Same with Jenna Maraska. She's got quite a reputation on Survivor. Not only is she still considered the youngest female to ever win Survivor, but she's also the only person to have a justifiable quit. And a lot of people are saying that the circumstances surrounding her quit would would make for her deserving of another chance. But she's also had some recent legal troubles lately, so yeah, I'm not sure what the full extent to that is. But when it comes to people who have criminal records and all that, CBS doesn't want to take chances on people like that anymore. So Jenna was not put on this list. All right, next up, Survivor Pearl Islands. Again, quite a few names to consider here. Obviously, one of them is Johnny Fairplay, not playing anymore. Given his quote quit from the game, even though he was voted out, and he's just burned too many bridges with CBS as of late, and CBS has already made it pretty much clear that they don't want to see Fairplay back again. And another name to consider here is Sandra. No, I'm not putting Sandra on this cast. Hell no. She lost her legend status when she bitched out on Winners at War. And I know a lot of you people are saying, oh well, because of the circumstances of the twist of the season with Edge of Extinction, even though she got voted out, and it wouldn't be considered a quit because she did get voted out. Well, see, here's my counter argument to that. In a season with a theme as huge as Winners at War, you got to expect that they might throw a twist in the game that would force people into maybe a sort of isolation for a chance to get back in the game. Because when you have such OG people like Boston Rob, Parvati, Sandra, Tony, and all that, you're bound to be a huge target right out of the gate. So, they wanted to make it fair for all the returning winners, so they threw Edge of Extinction in, so that way some of the OG people would have a fair shot later down the road, and not just be easy pickings and not have to be worries further down the road. And so for Sandra to give up on an opportunity like that so easily has made me lose all respect for her. So sorry, but that's just the way it is. Now, the name that I decided to put from this season is Rupert Bonham, obviously. Rupert is everyone's favorite, everyone's hero, and he has expressed interest in wanting to play again. And so I feel like for our Legend season, Rupert's a shoo-in. I mean, why wouldn't you have someone as popular and as influential as Rupert in a Legend season? I mean, it just goes without saying. All right, next up we got. Now I'm skipping the all returning players seasons, obviously, because if I wanted to consider them legends beforehand, I would have just put them on there. So we're moving on to season 9 now, and that's Vanuatu Islands of Fire. A few names to consider here, but I wouldn't really consider them legends, so. I decided not to put them on the cast, and that was Chris Daughtry, Eliza Ortiz, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember her last name, but Amy. Remember Amy? As much as we didn't like her on a lot of occasions and all that, just you can't deny that she's a great player. That's just bottom line right there. All right, moving on, we got season 10, Survivor Palau. And a couple names to consider here. We got Tom Westman and Stephanie LaGrossa. Now, originally I had put Stephanie on the cast and all that, but after reviewing who else I had on the roster and needing to trim some of the excess baggage, I guess I'll say it right here and all that, I decided to leave Stephanie out of this one because of how poorly she did in Heroes vs. Villains. I mean, she was just all over the map at that season, and it made it easy for the heroes to vote her out. So And with Tom, he's getting on in the years. He's gotten a lot older, and I know that he's a tough guy. He's in really good shape and all that, but if they didn't have him in Winners at War, chances are you're not going to see him in the Legend season. So moving on, we got season 11 with Survivor Guatemala. Moving on, we got season 12 Survivor Panama. Okay, so got a few names to throw out here. I mean, two of them obviously would be the final two for this season. R.S. Van something or other. I have no idea how to pronounce that last name. And Danielle. Neither one of them, in my opinion, are legends. I mean, yeah, they got into play more than once, but their performances in those seasons compared to their first season was very underwhelming. So I wouldn't really consider them legends. However, I decided to put Suri Fields into this cast. Obviously, it's Suri. I mean, come on. Should there even be a debate? She wants to play again, and she's a master social player, and just a all around fun, phenomenal person. And I could see her. And after what had happened to her in Game Changers, man, she needs redemption. She needs a win. Put Suri back on there. Get her that win. And I also put Terry Dietz in on this cast because after what happened with him on Survivor Second Chances, and we need to see him back. He needs to finish his second chance. He needs to finish his story. So put Terry back on there. I hope, and he wants to play again. So let's make this happen, CBS. Next up, we got Survivor Cook Islands season 13. A few names here. We got Parvati. Obviously, Parvati's a big legend and all that. However, she has stated a few years back that the only way that she would play again is one of two circumstances, and that being either a blood versus water with her husband John, or an all-winter season, which they eventually did, and Parvati was a part of. So I don't see Parvati coming back for a legend season. And another person that a lot of people really enjoyed was Yule. However, I don't really consider Yule a legend compared to others. So I eventually went with Jonathan Penner. He's expressed interest in wanting to play again, and all three times he's played, he's been just enjoyable, very fun, and he given how in the two seasons that he was voted out in, he made the jury. And the only reason why he didn't make the jury in Fans vs. Favorites is because he was medevaced, which sucked. And he needs a chance to get back in there, cause some more chaos, cause more panic. Let's have a lot of fun with that. And I also added Ozzy to this cast because let's face it, love him or hate him, you can't deny that he has a phenomenal impact on the game, and that he's just an all-around fun person to watch, and that pretty much just sums him up. He's a good physical player. He's a great social player. But I have yet to seen him in a season where he's just been ruthless as well, and I would love to see a season where Ozzy just goes all villain and just completely takes the game. Alright, so moving on. We got Survivor Fiji. A few names to consider here. Really only two that come to my mind the most is Yowman and Dreams. Say what you will about Dreams, but I feel he got robbed. I feel he was robbed of the win because, just from day one, his back was against the wall. No one wanted to work with him. He was in the bottom of the barrel. He was next to go. And the only reason why he lasted as long as he did was because he ended up on the fortunate tribe that had all the advantages versus the other tribe. And the only reason why he didn't win was the controversial truck deal, in which Yao-Man won the truck challenge and gave Dreams a truck in exchange for immunity at Final Four. Now, keep this in mind. This was back when the Final 3 of Survivor was still brand new, so they didn't know. They didn't know that the Survivor was going to end with a Final 3 instead of a Final 2. So Dreams accepted that, thinking that he was going to get past Final 3 anyway, so why not come out of it with a car? I honestly feel Dreams got robbed. But a lot of people seem to not like him, so... And, CBS hasn't asked for him back since, so I don't see him playing. And same with Yao-Man, unfortunately. He's played twice. He's getting along in the years. He's already said that he has no interest in playing again. And that sucks, too. All right, moving on. We got Survivor China. And 4 names here, and unfortunately, none of them will be playing, as far as I know. Todd Herzog, the winner. Because, he played a great game, but unfortunately he's had some problems with alcoholism lately, so he's not. So he's a recovering alcoholic, so too risky to bring back for a season of that caliber. Next is Courtney Yates, and she said that she will not play again unless her someone from her original ensemble would be in it. That being Todd, Amanda, and James. And believe it or not, Amanda and James are the other 2 that I have for this roster. Amanda says that she will never play again. Cut and dry, clear and simple. Just never playing again. And James, he also stated that he probably will never play again. Given how he ended his last 2 seasons and all that, he doesn't want to go out there again and get hurt. So that's what I know about him at that point. So moving on, we got Survivor Micronesia, fans versus favorites. And I'm going to be going on with just the fans here. And really the only fan that comes to my mind on being a legend is Eric. And, maybe not be for the best reasons, but he is a legend. But, he already played in the other fans versus favorites. And as good as the game as it was, I can't really say it was legendary. But yeah, I don't see him coming back anytime soon. Next up, we got Survivor Gabon, Earth's Last Eden. And really the only name that I can really even think of. Moving on to Season 18, Tocantins. I thought I had something, but I don't. I'm just moving on. Okay. So we got Survivor Tocantins. And few names to drop here. JT Thomas, Coach Wade, and Tyson Aposto. None of them I see playing again. JT has had some recent legal troubles. Coach, I had put Coach on my roster originally, but given the current state of the rest of the roster, I was like, Coach, I love ya, but your last game was probably your best season, and you still couldn't win it. So I can't see you returning again and doing better. And Tyson, he just came off of Winners at War, and he's already and he's already made a statement that he doesn't want to play anymore. That he just wants to settle down with his wife Rachel and have a life together with her, start a family, keep their family going. He's done playing. Next we have Survivor Samoa, and okay, guys, I'm just gonna be honest here. Only one real name comes to my mind. And I know you're all thinking it. You're all thinking it. The only person who could be considered a legend for this season, Ben Browning. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You all know who I'm talking about. It's Russell Hantz. I'm sorry. I had to throw that little gag in there. But yeah, Russell Hantz, for sure. He wants to play again. We want to see him play again. He is a legend. Bring him back. Let's do this. And, Russell has said that, he already knows exactly what he would do should he re-enter the game. So I want to see what that is. So let's do a legend season with Russell Hantz. All right, moving on. Skipping 20. We're going to 21. Nicaragua. Some names to throw around here, but, again, not really legends. Fabio, Jan. There were some fun players, but I wouldn't really necessarily consider them legendary players. So we're gonna move on to Survivor Redemption Island, and originally I had put former federal agent Philip Shepard on this list because let's be honest, you can't talk about Survivor. Some of Survivor's most controversial players without talking about Philip Shepard. But given given that he has that kind of controversy surrounding him and all that, there's a big question mark on leaning over me. Like, would they have him back on? My guess, in all honesty, would probably be no. Because he's too much of a wild card. While he is fun, too much of a wild card, and I can't really consider I can't really see CBS putting him back on the roster. I did, however, decide to throw in Andrea Bullock in this cast because she's a phenomenal social player. And a great strategist, a lot of fun to watch. And it's like every time she plays, she's always managing to play a low key game and develop a social game early on. And when she gets to the merge, that's when she always starts playing harder and going for the fastballs and all that. She's made the merge all 3 times that she's played. So to see her play again would be awesome. I could see her once again developing a good social game and maybe toning it down a little bit. Maybe going just throughout the whole season just under the radar. I could see her doing that, and I could see her possibly winning. I could definitely see that. Moving on to Survivor South Pacific. The only name I considered for this season is John Cochran, but he's already stated that because of his current role as a writer for CBS that he is not willing to go back out and play. He won Fans versus Favorites too, so he wanted to retire with a win, so he's not playing anymore. He's done. We wish him the best. Moving on to season 24, One World. And again, only one name came to mind with this, and I actually had her as a maybe in the roster, and that's Kim Spradlin. But after I finished my initial roster and researched everything, I took out all the maybes because I felt that that they weren't going to play again and all that. Even if they were asked to, it's a question mark on whether or not they'd say yes or not. So yeah, Kim Spradlin is not on this cast. Next up, we got Survivor Philippines, and again another maybe that I put on this roster was Abby Maria Gomez, because she hasn't said one way or another on whether or not she wanted to play again, whether she was comfortable with playing again or not. So I decided not to put her on this list. I did, however, decide to add Malcolm Freeberg, and you know he is one of the most popular players. All right, so yeah, Malcolm definitely on this cast for me. Next we got Survivor Caramoan, Fans vs. Favorites, again going by just the fans. Moving on to season 27, Blood vs. Water. Now, I initially had put Hayden Moss on this cast, but I felt that he wasn't really that well on the ranks considered as a legend. So I decided to leave him off the cast. And another name I decided to put on here, I put on the roster initially was Sierra Easton. And, what can you say about her? She voted her own mom out. That's ballsy. That takes guts to do that. When it needs to get done. But after her very poor performance in Game Changers, coupled with the fact that she herself stated that she didn't even want to play in that season in the first place, I don't see her coming back for a Legend season. Next we got Survivor Cagayan, and lots of names here. Originally I had put Spencer and Wu on the cast, but initially I decided to take Wu off because I feel that even though he wants to play again, I don't think he had really cemented himself as a legend per se. And Spencer, he unfortunately has already stated that he will never play again. So that is an unfortunate fact. But I do have 3 other people that I will be putting on this cast. First off is Sarah Lacina. More notably for her performance in Game Changers and Winners at War, because her first season was bad. I honestly felt that she didn't even deserve to be on Game Changers because what did she do that was game changing? I mean, the only thing that was noteworthy for me that I remember about her in her first season was that she called Tony out for his lie, and that's it.
Mom doesn't have my card.
But
Tom, do you still have Mom's card?
I put it back in her pouch.
It's not in there. Mom already checked.
Tell her to check again. I never took it out.
Oh, I never touched it.
But her season in Game Changers and Winners at War were good enough to cement her as a legend for sure. Another person that I put on here is Chaos Cass McQuillan, and she earned her legend status first season, no question. She was the ultimate villain of that season, and a lot of fun to watch. And same in Game Changers. She didn't make it as far. She was still able to cement a good spot and did make it to the jury.
Mom wants to know when did you give her my card back?
I put it in the pouch last night after we didn't go to.
Oh no! You guys took the card. You guys took the card this morning to pay the tow for the tow.
Pretty sure give it back to her.
Oh no!
All right. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. Okay, but yeah, moving on. You know, Cass, definitely a legend. But definitely have her back. And of course, why would I not put Tony Vlachos on this cast? The new king of Survivor. The best to ever play this game. And rightfully so. I can't imagine a Legend season without Tony. And, you know, he says definitely he wants to play again. So let's give him that opportunity. Next up, we got Survivor San Juan del Sur, the second Blood versus Water. And there was a couple of names that I had going on here. One of them was Keith Nail, but Keith has already said that he doesn't want to play again, and you know he's getting older, so I could definitely see that. And another name that I had on here was Kelly Wentworth, and surprisingly, she has now said she doesn't want to play again. And I was going to have her on this cast. That's the even more intriguing part. But I went ahead and I put Natalie Anderson on this cast because, you know, she is a phenomenal player as well. Went in with her twin sister, who was voted out first. And despite not having that loved one connection, she still managed to go all the way to the end and win the game. And she got runner-up in Winners at War. So, you know, obviously, she is a masterful player. And I would love to see her play again. Moving on, we got Survivor Worlds Apart. A season that I have ripped apart many times, both on camera and off camera. I hate this season. There were just so many despicable people on it and made it very hard for me to sit through. I have not rewatched this season since. From this season on this roster, because he was the only real person that I was watching on that season. When he was voted out, my interest for that season just plummeted drastically. So yeah, Joe, the only person that I can really see myself putting on this season. Next up, we got season 32, Kaoh Rong, and a couple of names to throw out there. You know, we got Caleb. Obviously, he's a fun player. And you know he was medevaced, but he got another chance to play in Game Changers, and he finished in the same place that he was medevaced in. He was third out, so yeah, I don't see him being coming back. And another person is Ty. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to watch, but I wouldn't really necessarily consider him a legend, even though he made Final 3 his first season and was last out his second season. He didn't really make any kind of a memorable impression or impact on gameplay wise. So I don't really see him much as a legend. But I did put Aubrey Bracco on this season because, I mean, come on, it's Aubrey. You can't, she herself is a wonderful player, a great strategist, and is cutthroat. You know, she'll stab you right in the back, and not think twice about it. All right, next up we have Survivor Millennials versus Gen X. A few names to consider on this season as well, but. You know, we have Adam Klein, who just came off of Winners at War, and his performance in that season was just so subpar and so underwhelming that I'm not really even remotely considering him a legend at this point. Another name that I did have on this roster was Michaela Bradshaw and Zeke Smith. Zeke is kind of not leaning towards playing anytime soon. Although he hasn't expressed any kind of disinterest in playing again. He hasn't shown any interest either. And Michaela, same, hasn't felt strongly one way or the other about wanting to play again or not. So I didn't put either of them on this list. I did, however, decide to put David Wright on this list, and I know he wants to play again. Oh, I apologize. But yeah, I know that David wants to play again, and I don't know if that would be anytime soon. Dang it, I can't. There we go. Anyway, I don't know if that would be anytime soon. But David, he was a not that strong of a player physically or socially, but once he came out of his shell a little bit, he was able to adapt, and he played like the ultimate underdog game, and he almost won. If they did fire making back when they did Millennials versus Gen X, guaranteed David wins against Adam, and David ultimately goes on to win the entire season. And I would have loved to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen David win. Fortunately, it just wasn't in the cards. Next up, we got Survivor, Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers. And really the only name that I considered as a legend was Ben Dryberg. But yeah, the less we talk about him, the better. He came back for Winners at War. He played a very shallow, very bitter game, and ultimately threw in the towel. And it was just very disappointing to see that. Next, we got Ghost Island. A couple names I also considered here: Dominic and Wendell. But Wendell just came back from Winners at War, and Dominic hasn't shown too much interest in playing again, though. I'm sure he would play again if asked, but ultimately I did not put him on this cast. Next up, we got Survivor David versus Goliath. Now, the only name that I could really put on here for the roster was Christian Hibicki, but yeah, as enjoyable as he was, I can't really consider him much of a legend. So I didn't put him on the roster. And of course Nick, but he just came off of Winners at War, and as far as I know, he hasn't shown much interest in wanting to play again. So I didn't put him on the list. Next up, we got Survivor Edge of Extinction. A season surrounded in controversy because a lot of people say that Chris Underwood didn't deserve the win. And in some respects, I can see why. He was third voted out. Only won because he was able to get his way back in through Edge of Extinction. However, Alright, hold on a second, guys. You got your shoes on? Alright, I'm almost done with the stream, so I'll just let her in. Okay, so... but, I do have to give Chris credit for this much because no one else can say that they made it, that they got voted out of the same season that they won. No one else can say that but him. And I also got to give credit for the ballsy play of giving up his immunity necklace to take on Rick Devens and Fire. And that's what ultimately won it for him. He got rid of Rick Devens when he had the chance to, and he earned the jury's respect from that. However, I did not include Chris Underwood as a legend. I did go ahead and add Lauren O'Connell to the list because she played a beautiful social game. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I was in the back of my head, I was secretly rooting for her to win because it would have made for an awesome season finale to see Lauren O'Connell dethrone Rick Devens and win the whole thing. And speaking of Rick Devens, bam, there he is too. I added him to this roster as well because he's Rick Devens. He was like a little boy in a candy store that season. Every opportunity he had, he would just cause panic by just running around the island, making people paranoid that he's idol hunting, because he was finding multiple idols. I would love to see Rick Devens play again. And finally, we got Survivor Island of the Idols. Arguably the worst season to ever come about. Pretty much everyone on that cast was just dull, forgettable, and just not that fun to watch. With the exception of Lauren Beck. I'm almost done. Lauren Beck is by far the best player of that season. Was cheated out at the end and lost the $1 million. She needs another shot. She needs redemption. Because I feel that if she played again, she wins. She wins, no question about it. Alright, so there you go, guys. This is my roster for Survivor Legends. Is there anything that you would change? Please let me know in the comments down below, because I welcome all criticism. I welcome all opinions, because if you feel that someone in this cast doesn't deserve to be here, or if I didn't do another player justice enough, please let me know, and I will try to respond to any comments that you leave. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, and because I like to do a lot of Survivor vlogs. And we got a potential Big Brother 2 coming, Big Brother All Stars 2 coming out, and if that happens, I might start doing a series on that as well. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.